Are the New York Giants and Joe Schoen plotting on making a big move? Well, we're going to break that down on today's show as the Giants are starting to restructure some contracts and make some extra cap space. They started it off by restructuring Dexter Lawrence's contract, which created an additional $7.5 million in cap space. So right now, the Giants, they can make a couple of moves if they want to. Prior to the move, they were right against the baseline of what the salary cap was. But now they have $7.5 million additionally. We'll tell you how much cap space they have. We'll tell you how much more they can create. And we'll also tell you who they may make a big move for. The restructure for Dexter Lawrence, it just takes the money that is allotted this year and it spreads it out over the lifetime of the contract. So it adds a $2.5 million dead cap hit in 2025, 2026, and 2027. What was interesting, I thought, in the way that they did restructure this is they didn't fully restructure it. They could have created another $3.7 million in cap space if there was 100% restructure. Only about a 75% in this case, which makes me think how big of a move is coming, or does Joe Schoen just want to save that as a little fail-safe to where if he needs to create $3.5 more million in cap space, he could do it with Dexter Lawrence. So following that move, the Giants currently have about $10 million in space, which is plenty of room right now to make a move that would add a good football player to this team. But the Giants are not just going to be done with only restructuring Dexter Lawrence's contract. Reports are also coming out they are expected to restructure Andrew Thomas's contract. Has not been made official, but you talk to anybody and you listen to all the beat reporters that cover this team, they think that is going to happen. Giants at $9.5 million. They save $10.4 if they restructure Andrew Thomas, so almost at $21 million in cap space. Dan Duggan, also of The Athletic, Giants beat reporter, in my opinion, one of the best on the beat, says this: my antenna is now up for a signing in the near future. Dan Duggan would not say this for clicks. He only tweeted it out because it is what he believes and maybe just what he has heard. So here we go. Are the New York Giants prepping to make a big-time move to add a talented football player to this team to help them compete in the 2024 NFL season? I think they just might. And we'll tell you about 15 players they could be targeting around the corner. But first, make sure you are subscribed. Because if the Giants make a move, like Duggan is hinting at, and with the new cap space, we are going to break it down on this channel. Free, informative, entertaining, passion-driven content on your New York Football Giants every day. So subscribe and turn the notifications on so you never miss a thing. Immediately after I saw that Lawrence got his contract restructured, I thought back to Tre'Davious White. We talked about earlier in the week on Tuesday that there was a report from Adam Schefter that White was going to take a free agency visit with the Giants. That is still expected to happen, and I think the Giants could be looking to sign White if the physicals kind of look somewhat clean. The reason he's a free agent, he's only played in 21 games in the last 3 years. Sometimes the best ability is availability. He hasn't been that recently, but when he's on the football field, he's still one of the best corners in this league. If you want to go to a guy that's a little bit more durable, I'm looking at Xavier Howard. He's 30 years old compared to Trey White, who is 29, but I think Howard is still just as good as a player as White is. He was once one of the best corners in this league. I love the ball skills that he has. He's led the NFL in interceptions before. He's always at the top of the league in pass breakups. And I think adding a veteran like him, or potentially a guy like Stephon Gilmore, who is still out there, would really help this young DB room. If I can get Howard or if I can get Gilmore to pair alongside a guy like Deonte Banks, who's going to be entering his sophomore season in the NFL, getting to learn what it takes to be great as a corner in this league, learning from a vet and potentially a Hall of Famer in Gilmore would make a lot of sense. Giants have a major need at that corner position. I like Deonte Banks. I think Nick McLeod's a good player. Darnay Holmes, veteran slot corner. I like also Cordell Flott. But none of those guys are really perimeter boundary CB2s. Giants got to add some help there. I don't think Trey Hawkins is ready to be that guy. They also need help, in my opinion, at the safety position. I understand why they let Xavier McKinney go. Giants had to look in the mirror this offseason. They have to say, who are we and what are we? They're a team that is rebuilding. They are trying to get to a spot where they're competing in the NFC East. And when you are that, and you're not a Super Bowl contender like the Green Bay Packers, you can't really afford the luxury of paying a safety $17 million. But could you go out and maybe pay Justin Simmons $6, $7, $8 million? Bring him in. Still one of the best at the position. 70 tackles last year, 8 pass breakups. I feel like he would be a really good piece in this defense. He would be a leader, and he would definitely make them better. If you want to look for a little bit of a cheaper option, Quandre Diggs, former Texas Longhorn, would make a lot of sense. We talk about how Shane Bowen wants to play with a lot of DBs on the field, a lot of nickel coverages or packages as well as dime packages. If you're going to do that, you need those DBs to be able to cover, but more so you need those DBs to be able to help stop the run. And there's not many harder-hitting safeties than Quandre Diggs. He could play in the box. He could be that big nickel. He would definitely bring some toughness to the secondary room. Julian Blackmon is a guy that I would love for the Giants to sign. Still just 25 years old. His best days in the National Football League are right in front of him. And the Giants could really benefit from adding a difference maker like him. 88 tackles last year, 4 interceptions, 8 pass breakups, and still just 25 years old. I like to prioritize signing guys in free agency that are young. What can you do for me? Because I don't really care what you've done for me. It's about what you're going to do. I think at 25, Blackmon still has a lot of really good plays left in his helmet. Eddie Jackson, another veteran you could look at, hard-hitting safety. Past his prime, no doubt about it. Not the guy he once was with the Chicago Bears. They ended up releasing him this offseason to create some additional cap space. Jackson, a veteran. I think he could help a guy out like Jason Pinnock as well as Dane Belton and Tre'Davious Owens. I know you brought in Jalen Mills, but I think adding another proven player at that position that may not really even cost that much money could really, really help this defense. From defense to offense. I've been asked maybe once or twice or 500 times this offseason, Marshall, do you think it's a good idea to bring Odell Beckham Jr. back to the Giants? I'll just let you guys decide it. Should the Giants sign Odell Beckham Jr., 31 years old? He was primarily healthy last year for the Baltimore Ravens, had some really big games and some really big moments. But does it make sense right now for the Giants? Would you sign OBJ if you were Joe Schoen? Type OBJ for yes or no BJ for no. Oh, man, that's good stuff right there. I love that. Love that. Haven't talked about it in a while. No, I would not re-sign Odell Beckham. Let him go compete for a Super Bowl somewhere else. New blood, new era, new vision. It's a new time for the New York Giants. I would be interested in signing a guy like Michael Gallup. He spent his entire career with the Dallas Cowboys after being an early round draft pick out of Colorado State, and he just would bring a different style of receiver to this football team. You got Jalen Hyatt, a slender receiver that likes to push vertically on his routes. You got Wan'Dale Robinson, who operates out of the slot. Michael Gallup can be your true boundary outside wide receiver at 6'1", 200 pounds. Not the player he once was. Never really bounced back to get that 100% athletic ability after tearing his ACL. But another year after that, and still just 28 years old, I think there's still really, really good football left in the career for Michael Gallup. I'm also really interested in a guy like Corey Davis, former top 10 pick out of Western Michigan. Did not play in 2023. Injuries have really started to stack up for him. They've become a concern, and that's always a red flag, let's be honest, when you're signing a free agent. And that's why you're probably a free agent as we're 2 weeks into free agency. But he has talent. I think he still has a little bit of potential. I think there's production to be had if you had Corey Davis. Like we talked about with Gallup, Davis is the same thing. Outside receiver, size, and he could put pressure on the heels of a DB, 6'3", 210 pounds. DJ Chark was a player that the Giants were interested in last year in free agency. That was reported by multiple people. We told you that on the channel. That's why subscribe, turn the notifications on. Chark, he's a deep threat. He's kind of just like Darius Slayton. So I don't think the Giants will be too interested in him now that they've added a guy like Hyatt who they want to see play more football this year. But you were interested in him last year, and he's still just 27 years old. Would not be completely shocked if they circled the block to try to go see if Chark would want to be a Giant again. If you want to take a swing for the fences and hope maybe that the slant boys got anything left, what about Michael Thomas? 6'3", 212 pounds, 31 years old. At one point, he was the best, if not one of the best receivers in this league. But injury after injury after injury has started to derail his career, and I would say it is completely off the train tracks at this moment. Could maybe come into the Giants and working with Brian Daboll and a receiver-friendly offense help him just re-find himself in this league and reinvent himself. Cheap, one-year deal, probably no guaranteed money. Sure, I'm interested in it. I'm sure he would just like a little bit bigger deal than that. Giants have to add more talent to this roster. No doubt about it. Whether it be at receiver in free agency, maybe another running back. Maybe you want to go sign a tight end because Darren Waller might retire. If he does, you also create another $7 million in cap space. The Giants are fine with their salary cap health. I see all these people freaking out on Twitter about it. Take a chill pill. They'll be all right. But you need to add more talent. Corner, safety, defensive tackle, maybe a tight end like we talked about. I think another receiver makes sense, or maybe a weapon out of the backfield. You need to add more talent to this team. Because right now, I don't think it's all that likely that you'll be able to compete in the NFC East. But that just may be because somebody else that's on this team. Don't want to talk about that today. Make sure you are subscribed and you are following me over on Twitter. I'm tweeting about the Giants almost every day. I am, every single day, as well on Instagram. So give me a follow over there. And if you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon. And we're back tomorrow with another video. Let's go Big Blue.